Hey, so I decided to record my challah recipe since everybody's always asking me how do I do it, and I can give them the ingredients, but I can't really show them how to do it. I was hoping that one of my daughters was going to come home and help me shoot this, so I would have my hands free. But anyways, these are the ingredients. I only know how to make 6 at a time. It's better for bread flour, 1 bag. A cup of vegetable oil. I like Smart Balance. You need a very big bowl. So you're going to dump all the ingredients in together. 3 eggs go into the recipe. My secret ingredient, not so secret anymore, is a tablespoon of vanilla extract. That's why everyone says it tastes like cake. 4 packets of rapid rise active yeast. 1 cup of sugar, and 2 or 3 tablespoons of salt. My favorite salt is this pink Himalayan salt. I think it's just the best salt I've ever tasted, and I don't like any iodine or chemicals in my salt. So anyway, I'm going to dump that bag of flour, and 4 cups of water, which is in the microwave right now getting warm. I'm going to dump the flour in the bowl and show you what that looks like. One thing I forgot to mention, and I've made this mistake before, is you want to preheat the oven to 375. I love my convection oven, but a regular oven will be fine. Also, you want to make sure the racks are, pretty centered, because you're going to be, of course, making 6. Also, you need cookie sheets. I just use regular old cookie sheets to baking them on. This is the whole bag of flour in the bowl, and here is 3 of the packets of rapid rise yeast. I just cut them across the top with a scissor. I'm going to add 1 more. I'm going to use this as my trash can. I'm going to add the balance of the dry ingredients now. This is our Himalayan salt, aforementioned Himalayan salt. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons because, remember, it's for 6 loaves of challah, so it's not going to be too much salty at all, not too much salt. Now I'm going to put the sugar in. I like the baker's sugar because it's very, very fine, just in general for baking and cooking, but you do not need it. You can use any type of granulated sugar. I just added my not-so-secret ingredient, which is a tablespoon of vanilla extract. Now I'm going to crack 3 of these eggs and put them in. And if you are holding a very, very kosher house, you want to break them into a clear bowl and check the eggs for any spots of blood. But I'm not that crazy, but that's what you do. I'm going to put the eggs in now. Here is what the bowl looks like with all of the dry and a couple of the wet ingredients. Our eggs were very nice. No blood spots. And all the garbage went into my bag of flour. So I can just go ahead and throw that away. Next, I'm going to combine. And this is the part I'm going to need my daughter's help with. I'm going to combine warm water, not too hot, not too cold. You don't want to cook those eggs. And the oil. And dive in with both hands and start kneading. So I'll see you in a minute. So now we're going to put the last 2 wet ingredients in. Since I don't have a measuring cup that's big enough, instead of combining the oil, I just kind of drizzle it in and pour it at the same time. See down into the bowl. Now comes the really, really, really fun part. And you have to have clean hands when you just dive in and pretend like you're 3 in a sandbox and start mixing this all together. The rapid rise yeast is activating from the lukewarm water. It's not hot enough to where it cooked the eggs. And the next time you see it, it's actually going to look like dough. Okay, so you can see the blob is starting to take shape. And you just kind of like knead and spin, knead and spin. You of course get lots of stuff on the sides of the bowl. You take your hand that's kind of wet, rub the sides of the bowl, because you don't want to waste a single bit of this yummy stuff. It's all going to be one piece when you see it next. And then we're going to let it rise. So our dough is pretty much done. We're going to put a little vegetable oil. I really like Smart Balance in the bowl. Cover both sides of the challah with the vegetable oil. And you can either cover the bowl with cellophane or with a damp towel so that it doesn't dry out. And we'll see it in a little bit when it's risen. So I used plastic, and here's what our challah looks like after, I don't know, half an hour or so. I'm taking the plastic off. We're going to punch it down. You can do this several times or not at all. You can just start the challah making process now, but we're going to punch it a couple times. So it's a perfect consistency. Now, in order to make it challah rather than just regular bread, we're going to make the bracha, the blessing, and we're going to throw a little part of this into the oven to burn. Otherwise, it's not challah. It's just yummy bread, which isn't bad. But if you want it to be challah, you have to take a kazayas, an egg-sized portion, in your hand before you break it off. Make the bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav lafrish challah. And then you tear it off, roll that egg-sized piece in your hands, and you say, Charai ze challah. And now you can make personal wishes and prayers, because this goes back to the days of the temple when we would make sacrifices. So we would always give a portion of our food, a kazayas, to the Kohen. And now we're going to throw it in the oven and leave it to burn so that a dog wouldn't even eat it. You can see it here in the bottom. It's going to be there. It's going to start scenting the house, getting us our taste buds ready for what's coming later. Okay, so here's our challah after another, I don't know, half hour, and you can see how much it grew, and it's just perfect to work with. I'm going to just toss this over, and I'm going to take you over back to the oven, show you our sacrifice, our kazaya, our piece of challah that we burned. And you can see that it is completely black. And so we're going to take it out of the oven, and we're going to throw it not in the garbage because it will burn a hole in the garbage. We're going to throw it in the sink to cool off before we finally throw it in the garbage. Now, as I said at the beginning of the video, this is for 6 challahs. So we're going to dump this over and divide it into 6 portions. And you basically just, this is where it gets fun. I have this tool, I don't even know what it's called, but I use this. And I just kind of make 5 cuts, and then I eyeball it, whatever, it's not a perfect science. So you're just going to cut the separate challahs and choose the first one you're going to make. So this is 1/6 of our recipe, and we're just going to cut it into 3 pieces because we're going to braid it. So you make 2 cuts, and again, not a perfect science. You hope they're around the same size. You can kind of feel it. If one is like overly big and one is overly small, you can just change it. So you take each piece, and this is where it all all comes into feel. Not too much pressure. You just want to roll it into one long line. Put that over here to rest. Next one. Roll it. Our cutting board's a little sticky. This doesn't bother me because I know the bread's going to be extra yummy today. But you can take your tool, I don't know what this is called, I'll find out, and just scrape off the extra stuff. Sometimes you need a little flour to sprinkle on if it's sticking like it was. Now we're ready to braid it. Put the 3 pieces together, mush the end, and simply braid it. Just like you would anything else. When you get to the end, it's a little tricky because you want to make the ends look kind of even, so just mush it. It's like the perfect consistency, so it mushes really easily. And again, it's not a science, that's what makes it homemade and nice. You can do as much playing with it as possible. Then just put it onto a cookie sheet, and let it rest until we're going to paint it with some egg before we put it in the oven. We're on the second loaf. And same thing, just cutting it into pieces. You could do this with a butcher's knife also. You don't need that thing, but it's just nice and dull, so I don't have to worry about cutting myself. And now the consistency, once we've uncovered it from the plastic, is just perfect. Like I keep saying. If the dough feels resistant when you're rolling it out, let that piece rest. Go to the next piece. It has its own mind. I don't know why. Perfect. Mush the ends together. Braid. You can put, after you paint it with the egg, you can put sesame seeds, you can put poppy seeds. My family likes it plain, so I put nothing except the egg. At Rosh Hashanah, you can take those 3 long pieces and roll them in mini chocolate chips, I think work the best for the chocolate challah that I'm famous for, or raisins and sprinkle with cinnamon sugar for the sweet raisin one. You can see from the first one I made to the second one, I just finished the second, that it's continuing to rise on the tray. Okay, so now we're going to take the 4th egg, crack it. I use this thing for everything. It's a good egg, very good egg. And we're going to paint our challahs. You see how they look completely different from each other? Some are fat at the top, skinny at the bottom, some are big, some are small. Again, that's what all makes it look very homemade and yummy, and no one will care what it looks like when they're tasting it. So we're just painting the egg on top. And as I said, you can add sesame seeds or poppy seeds, or some people like rough cracked salt on top. And they've already risen a lot. We have our ovens at 375 ready to throw them in, ready to go. And you'll see them when they come out. Now we're going to put them in the oven. I have an extra large oven, but if you don't, like I didn't when I first learned, you can just use 2 racks and have more time. We're going to close it it's going to stay in there for about 20 minutes. But I would definitely check it after 10, and I do. I actually guard it like a hawk. The last thing I want is for it to burn. So we'll see it when it comes out. Look how beautiful our challah is baking. I have a convection oven, so I don't move the racks around much, but you can see where, like, on the bottom challah, it's getting a little bit extra brown on the right-hand side. So I'm just going to flip those around right now. So here is the finished product. There's our 6 challahs. I know my husband wants to cut the lightest one. Some people prefer a darker crust. They did go really fast, like 10, 12, 15 minutes tops in my oven at 375. So now it's just time to eat.